Welcome to this deep dive. Looks like someone's been spending a lot of time in the Jupiverse this week. You've sent over articles, forum posts, even some handwritten notes.
It's been a busy week in the world of Jupyter Protocol, that's for sure.
Yeah, tons of stuff about community decisions, new products rolling out, even some insights into how Jupyter's kind of evolving based on what users are actually doing?
It is fascinating to see how they're responding to community feedback and iterating so quickly.
Right. Like you sent over some pretty impressive numbers, too.
Oh, yeah.
The Jupasol, Jupyter's own validator node, by the way, raked in a whopping 64,000 Solana tokens last week.
That's right, a 9.7 per 7 APY for those staking their JUP, significantly higher than many other validators on Solana.
Wow, that's juicy. Okay, so let's unpack all of this,
Yeah,
maybe starting with the Jupyter community.
sounds good.
Because let's be honest, in DeFi, a strong community can make or break a protocol.
Absolutely. And the Jupyter community is showing just how powerful collective action can be. They just wrapped up a record-breaking vote.
Oh yeah, to raise that minimum number of votes needed for any proposal to pass. I think they call it the quorum, right?
Exactly, the quorum. And it passed with over 80% of staked JUP participating in the vote. Almost unheard of on other blockchains.
So instead of just needing a simple majority, now it takes a supermajority of JUP token holders to approve any changes, right?
Right.
So that protects against, like, a small group just kind of pushing through changes without really having the support of the entire community, right?
It does. It really ensures that any decisions made truly reflect a broad consensus, which is a huge step toward genuine decentralization.
It is. It is. And speaking of participation, that JUP is home movement seems to be spreading like crazy.
It really is.
I'm seeing photos of meetups popping up everywhere, from like city cafes to, like, I think one was in someone's living room.
It's amazing to see what started online kind of taking root in the real world. The JUP is home movement is all about fostering that welcoming and supportive environment. And I think that's really important, especially in DeFi, which can feel a bit intimidating to some newcomers.
Yeah, I agree. Now, here's what I think is really interesting, and I know this is something you're interested in too. The way that Jupyter's products are always evolving, they're constantly experimenting and getting feedback and then actually making changes based on what they're hearing.
They are. They're not afraid to iterate.
And in the stuff you sent, we've got like 5 great examples of this in action.
At least 5, yeah.
At least 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so first, what about Jupyter Lock?
Jupyter Lock. Okay, so initially it was launched to help projects encourage their token holders to lock up their tokens, essentially as a way of showing commitment to the project long term.
Right, right. But then something unexpected happened.
It did.
The community started using Jupyter Lock for something completely different. They started locking up their own tokens, even without any prompting from the projects.
Yeah, they found a use case that the developers hadn't even anticipated.
Like, the tool took on a life of its own.
Exactly. And to Jupyter's credit, they didn't just stick stubbornly to their original plan.
Yeah.
They recognized that organic growth, that community ingenuity, and they pivoted to fully support this new user-driven application.
Which is really smart. It's almost like they're saying, hey, we're not just building for you, we're building with you.
Precisely. And they've brought this same adaptive mindset to other aspects of the platform. Take Jupyter Swap, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
It now offers both an auto mode and a manual mode.
I like that.
So for more experienced traders who want, fine-grained control over their transaction details, manual mode provides that flexibility. But for everyone else who just wants a simple, streamlined trading experience, auto mode is still there.
So they're kind of catering to a wide range of users.
Yep.
Which is smart because one of the things that people have always said about DeFi is that it's too complicated.
It can be, yeah.
So it sounds like they're trying to address that.
Yeah, they are. And, they've also been tackling that issue of duplicate tokens head on. Remember that whole thing with the scam tokens using their mint address as the token name itself?
Oh, yeah. It was like trying to trick people who are searching for the real token.
Exactly. Very sneaky.
Yeah, super sneaky. Like, new users are already trying to figure out so much, they shouldn't have to be on the lookout for tricks like that.
It really erodes trust, right?
Totally.
So to combat this, Jupyter has implemented real-time scam detection and made some, significant improvements to their search functionality.
So hopefully fewer people are going to fall for those scams going forward.
That's the goal.
And it's a great example of how a development team can really step up and protect users. Okay, so then there's also, let's see, the floating odds exchange.
Fox.
Fox. Have you ever imagined trading the odds of an event like you would stocks or crypto?
It's a novel concept, that's for sure.
Yeah. So with Fox, the odds of an event are tokenized, so you can buy or sell them based on how likely you think the event is to occur. It is a bit of an experiment, though, right?
No, absolutely. It's unaudited, so proceed with caution. But it really does illustrate the innovative spirit we see within the Jupiter ecosystem.
So it seems like they're kind of balancing this move fast and break things mentality with, a commitment to user safety.
Yeah, they want to innovate, but do it responsibly.
And they're working on other features too, right? Like limit orders, gasless transactions.
Those are on the roadmap. Limit orders would allow users to set specific prices at which they want to buy or sell, and gasless transactions would eliminate the need to pay those pesky gas fees.
Which would be huge, especially for new users.
Mhm.
But they're being careful about how they roll these features out, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're aware of the potential for unintended economic consequences, so they're taking a very measured approach, running simulations, gathering community feedback before going live.
It's good that they're taking it slow. Now, we can't talk about JUP is home without mentioning two of its biggest champions, Juicy and Fabiano.
Definitely not. They're fantastic.
These guys are rock stars when it comes to educating people about Jupiter, and they just got a grant from the Jupiter DAO to continue their work.
It's so great to see the community rallying behind those efforts. Their mission is to teach other cadets, that's what they call members of the Jupiter community, how to build their own brands and become these influential voices within the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a real pay it forward mentality.
Absolutely.
And their first course is launching today, a step-by-step guide on how to, get this, set up your Twitter profile for maximum impact. Let's be honest, we could all use a little help with that sometimes.
Absolutely.
What's fascinating to me is it's more than just sharing knowledge. They're actually giving people the skills to build their own platforms and contribute to the growth of the
This is
Jupiverse.
empowering, for sure.
I love that. So we've covered a lot from, how they're governing themselves to new features and even the growth of the Jupisol, but there's still so much more to unpack.
There is.
We'll dive even deeper into the world of Jupiter in part 2 of this deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into all things Jupiter Protocol.
Okay, so before we jump back into the cool new products and features, I want to circle back to something that you marked as being really important in your notes.
Oh, yeah.
Governance.
Ah, yes. The heart of any decentralized organization.
Right, right. So help me understand this. Why is governance a big deal for a decentralized organization?
Well, think about it like this. Imagine a town
All right. Okay.
where only a handful of people get to decide everything. That's not very fair, is it?
Not really. No.
So raising the quorum in the Jupiter ecosystem is basically like saying, hey, hold on, let's make sure a lot more people weigh in before we make major decisions that could affect everybody.
So it kind of protects against a small group hijacking the protocol for their own benefit?
Exactly. It really ensures that those changes reflect what the majority of the community wants. That's true decentralization in action. And remember, over 80% of staked JUP participated in that vote to raise the quorum.
Right, right.
This community is not just sitting on the sidelines, They're actively engaged in shaping Jupiter's future.
Yeah. And that commitment to active participation kind of extends beyond governance too, right? The JUP is home movement.
Absolutely.
That's more than just a catchy marketing slogan. You can really feel it in the way people are interacting.
It's like, think about the difference between like a sterile office building and a cozy cafe, right?
Okay.
One is purely transactional. The other feels like a place where you belong.
Right. And we're seeing this play out with all these meetups popping up. I saw pictures of one from last night, people just hanging out talking about DeFi. It looked more like a social gathering than a tech conference.
That's the vibe. Breaking down those barriers, making DeFi feel less intimidating and more human. And it's not just talk either, right? The Jupiter DAO is putting its money where its mouth is with its grant program.
Oh, right. The DAO has been giving these grants to individuals and projects that are helping the whole Jupiverse thrive. It's not just about giving financial support. It's about giving people the tools to actually build cool things and contribute.
It is. And we've seen some amazing projects come out of that. Like that musician, Dr. Preballen, you know him?
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly talented, creating music inspired by the community.
I love his work. And of course, there's Juicy and Fabiano, too, who are creating those educational resources.
With Jupiter University.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about the Jupsol for a second.
Oh, yeah, the Jupsol. Big deal.
Huge deal. It's Jupiter's own Solana validator node, which for those who might be new to this, validator nodes are the backbone of any blockchain.
Right.
So they're responsible for verifying transactions, securing the net, like the guardians of the blockchain, right?
In a way, yeah. And by running their own validator, the Jupiter team is demonstrating their commitment to the long-term stability of the network, and they're sharing the rewards with the community.
Right. 64,000 Solana tokens in just 1 week.
It's the beauty of the JUP for JUP philosophy.
Yeah.
By staking their JUP tokens with the Jupe Soul, users are not only supporting the network, but also earning a share of those juicy rewards.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't like blockchain wizards, how do validator nodes actually work? And like, why are they so important?
Well, imagine like a group of meticulous librarians meticulously verifying every entry in a massive ledger, right?
Okay.
That's kind of what validator nodes do. They ensure that every transaction is legitimate and accurate. That way they prevent fraud and maintain the integrity of the system.
So the more reputable validator nodes like the Jupe Soul that are participating, the more secure the network becomes.
Exactly. It's like having a strong immune system for the blockchain. And the Jupe Soul's impressive performance, that 9.7% APY, really shows how efficient and trustworthy they are.
Okay, cool. Cool. Let's get back to some of those exciting product developments.
Okay.
One thing that stood out in your notes was the auto mode and manual mode on Jupiter Swap.
Yes. So think of it like choosing between an automatic and a manual transmission car, right?
Go.
Auto mode is perfect for casual traders who value simplicity and speed. It handles all the technical details for you, finds the best routes, executes trades quickly.
Like set it and forget it trading.
Exactly. Manual mode, on the other hand, is for those who really want that fine-grained control over their trades. Like, think about experienced drivers who prefer a stick shift.
Okay.
It gives you the flexibility to fine-tune every aspect of the transaction, from slippage tolerance to gas fees.
So it allows you to kind of adapt to the market and optimize your strategies a little bit more.
Exactly. It's a great example of how they're catering to both casual users and those more seasoned traders.
It's about options, right?
It is.
Giving people the flexibility to choose what works for them. Okay, so another thing that's really important, especially for new users, is that whole issue of duplicate tokens and scam tokens.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a constant game of whack-a-mole. As soon as you get rid of one, another one pops up.
It can be tough to keep up with.
Right. And you mentioned that some scam tokens were using their mint address as the token name itself.
It's pretty sneaky. Mint addresses are like a fingerprint.
Yeah.
Every token has a unique one. So they're trying to trick people who are unfamiliar with how to verify that.
Yeah, yeah. So how is the Jupiter team fighting back against this?
Well, they've made some really big improvements to their search functionality,
Okay.
making it easier to find the right tokens. And they've implemented real-time scam detection.
Oh, wow.
So these algorithms can actually identify and flag suspicious tokens.
So it's like having a security guard patrolling the platform, basically.
Right.
That's great. It gives people peace of mind knowing that someone's looking out for them.
Yeah.
And it's not just reactive. They're also focusing on educating users about how to spot scams.
Education is key. Absolutely.
Okay. So you mentioned that they're also working on some pretty exciting new features.
Yeah.
Like limit orders.
Minute orders.
Yeah.
Huge. Imagine being able to just set a specific price and forget about it.
Right.
It just automatically buys or sells when the market hits your price.
Makes it so much more efficient, especially for people who can't, be watching the charts all the time.
Exactly.
What about gasless transactions?
Oh, man. Gasless transactions would be a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
When you make a transaction on the blockchain, you have to pay a small fee. That's the gas fee.
Right.
Eliminating that would really lower the barrier to entry for a lot of new people.
Yeah, especially people who are just starting out.
Yeah.
You were saying they're rolling these features out cautiously.
Well, making changes to a complex system can have unintended consequences. So they're taking that measured approach, running simulations, gathering feedback, making sure that everything runs smoothly before going live.
It's like a chef testing a recipe before serving it.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the responsible way to do it. But even when you're careful, sometimes unexpected things happen, right? Especially in DeFi where everything moves so fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where community feedback becomes so important.
Right. And it seems like Jupiter really gets that.
They do.
They've got their Discord server, which I know is super active, and then there's the Jupiter Uplink Twitter account, which I think does a great job of highlighting key updates.
Yeah, they do.
But what about this drip channel? It looks like it's gaining some traction as a way to get these quick updates about Jupiter.
The drip channel. Oh, it's fantastic. Especially for those who are busy, right? If they don't have time to read through long articles and forum posts,
Right.
it just delivers those bite-sized nuggets of info about product updates, community initiatives, even grant announcements.
It's like a little personalized news feed for the Jubiverse.
Exactly.
And I think it's already got like 22,000 subscribers, which is really impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's a need for that type of info,
Mm.
especially presented in a way that's easy to digest.
Right, right. Okay, so we've talked a lot about like the community, governance, new features. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually get involved?
Hmm.
What advice would you give them?
Well, I think the beauty of it is there are so many ways to participate, right? If you thrive on real-time interaction,
Hmm.
the Discord server is where it's at.
Yeah.
There are channels for like everything, technical discussions, governance debates, community events.
Right.
It's a great place to just ask questions and share ideas.
Okay. And for people who prefer a more like curated experience,
And Jupiter Uplink on Twitter is your go-to.
they do a good job.
Yeah.
But don't underestimate the power of those real world meetups either, right?
No.
There's something special about actually connecting with people face to face. And hey, if you have an idea for an event, remember the Jupiter DAO has that grant program.
That's right.
You could be the one bringing the Jupiverse to your city. Okay, so now I want to shift gears for a second and talk about Ape Pro.
8 Pro. Yeah, this is a really interesting development.
I know it was something that you highlighted specifically in your notes. What is it, and why are people so excited about it?
So 8 Pro is basically a trading platform, but it's built on top of Jupiter.
Okay.
And it's really designed for those who want to take their trading to that next level.
Like we were talking before about Jupiter providing options for, casual traders and more seasoned traders.
Right.
It sounds like Ape Pro is kind of taking that concept and running with it.
Yeah, exactly. They're offering advanced charting tools, real-time data, and a whole bunch of other features to help traders make more informed decisions.
And it's all built on top of Jupiter, right? So it leverages Jupiter's liquidity and security.
Right? To the best of both worlds. You've got the innovative power of 8 Pro combined with the stability and reliability of Jupiter.
It seems like we're seeing a real evolution here. New projects like Ape Pro are emerging from the Jupiter community. It's a reminder that DeFi isn't just about the technology, it's about people working together to build something truly innovative.
And that's what makes this space so exciting. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible, and the Jupiter community is leading the charge.
Okay, so we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
Community governance, exciting new products. It seems like this Jupiverse is really living up to its name. It's a whole universe of activity going on over there.
It is. And what really strikes me is the energy.
Yeah.
This isn't just another protocol. It feels more like a movement.
Right.
And that shared vision, you can feel it in the JUP is home thing,
Yeah.
in the way people are connecting online and offline.
Yeah. And it's not just hype.
No.
It's like you see it in how they're approaching governance, the commitment to user safety, even in how they're supporting developers building on top of Jupiter.
Yeah, like 8 Pro.
Right, exactly.
We talked about how validator nodes are important for network security and how well JipSol is doing, that impressive APY and all.
Right.
But I'm curious, what do you think this means in the grand scheme of things?
Well, I think it shows that Jupiter's serious about being a major player in the Solana ecosystem.
Mhm.
They're running a successful validator, attracting stakers, securing the network,
Right.
and all those rewards are flowing back to the community.
It's a win-win.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And we can't forget about those innovative features, too.
Oh, yeah.
Things like limit orders, gasless transactions, if they're implemented well, could really change the game.
It could.
Imagine, like, a DeFi platform that's as user-friendly as your favorite app,
Right.
But with all the power and flexibility of blockchain tech. That's the potential we're seeing here.
It is. And it's not just about attracting new users.
Mm-hmm.
It's about empowering the existing ones.
Right,
Giving them the tools to do more, explore new things.
right. Like Fox, the floating odds exchange, a whole new way to engage with prediction markets.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
opening up new possibilities, new ways to think about finance.
Right.
And it's not just the tech either.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people, the dedication to education, the meetups, the supportive community. That's what sets Jupiter apart.
Yeah, that sense of belonging. It's rare to find that in DeFi.
It is.
So where do we go from here? What are the big questions we should be thinking about Jupiter and the future of DeFi?
Well, for me, the big one is how do they keep innovating while also maintaining security?
Right.
We've seen they're careful about how they roll things out,
Mm-hmm.
but the ecosystem's growing, the stakes are getting higher.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
It is. Another question is, how will regulations affect DeFi in the long run?
Yeah, that's a big one.
We're seeing more and more attention from regulators globally,
Mm-hmm.
and how that'll all play out, well, nobody knows for sure.
Right.
But the projects that prioritize transparency, compliance, community engagement, I think those are the ones that'll thrive.
Yeah, and Jupiter seems to be doing all of those things.
They do.
They've got a good foundation, they're adaptable, they listen to their users, they're not afraid to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you succeed, especially in a fast-paced world like DeFi.
It is.
So the key takeaway is that Jupiter is evolving fast. It's got a passionate community. It's committed to innovating.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a vision for a more inclusive financial future, whether you're a DeFi pro or just starting out.
Yeah,
It's definitely worth checking out.
it is.
And the Jupiverse, it's not just something you watch from the sidelines.
Wow.
It's something you participate in,
Yeah.
Whether you're trading, building, educating, or just sharing ideas, you can shape its future.
Absolutely.
So dive in, explore, discover what makes the Jupiverse so unique.
You might just find your home in DeFi.
Until next time.